So in secondary school, we are taught 4 ways to solve a quadratic equation. Number 1 is the one that you're probably taught first, or that was the one I was taught first, by factoring. And I actually like quadratic equations a lot because why? They are probably the most popular topic in E and A math because they're the first chapter. And this chapter, if you go to JC, you will also bring it along with you. And this is also probably the chapter that stumped a lot of people in Sec 2 because it's so counterintuitive, right? So factoring, I'm going to do this. So factoring this, we will get x plus 4, x plus 1 equal to 0. Why? Because these two numbers, if you add them up, you will get 5. And these two numbers, if you multiply them together, you will get 4. And you might be thinking, why does this trick even work? Why must these two numbers add to be the middle number? Well, it's because when you expand it out, this times this, nothing wrong. This times this, so you get x. So it's whatever plus x. Then this times this, so you get plus 4x. And then plus whatever, we don't care. But the point is, you will see that these two, the coefficient of the x will be added together. So this will be 1x actually, because when there's nothing behind the x, is 1x. So 1x, 4x. And then you see they will actually add them together. So that is why these two numbers, we have it so that they will add together to give you the middle number. Okay, easy. So this is taught in Sec 2, which is, alright, sure. That is method number 1. Technically, you learn 3, but the fourth one also works, but no one uses it during exams. You shouldn't either. Second one is by completing the square. This is taught in Sec 3. Well, this is the E-math version, so I'm not going to go on to A-math. So, completing the square is when you see this, we only want to factor out the x. So you want this to be expressed in like x plus something, a, square minus b. And this is equal to 0. So then you can solve the quadratic that way, because you can just bring the b over. It will be a lot easier. So how do you do that? Well, you see this, you have to divide this by 2. So you get x plus 5 over 2, remove the square, put the square here, and you remove the x. So essentially you're dividing everyone by x. Then minus, take this number and you square it. And then you plus this number. This number stays unchanged. Then this you keep. This is x plus 5 over 2 squared. This is 25 over 4 plus 4, 9 over 4 equals 0. This is done. So this is how you complete the square. So that is taught in Sec 3. It is still an okay method of, trying to solve a quadratic equation. Sometimes the question might purposely ask you to solve a quadratic equation like that. I mean, it's fine because it's still kind of like, you can still kind of understand it. The next way, and this is kind of like the last case scenario, is by using the quadratic formula. I misspelled quadratic. Quadratic formula. For those who don't know, quadratic formula, if you are given a quadratic equation that is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, a, b, and c are constants, they should not be other variables, then x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I'll do a proof of this formula in another video. I love proving this formula. But this is the formula. For now, just internalize it. If you don't know it yet, you should already know. This is also taught in Sec 3. So this is that. So let's put it to use in here. This is really unnecessary. If you do this, you are wasting your time. But hey, this is a YouTube video, right? It doesn't really matter that much. So let's do it. Okay. So using the formula, x equals to negative 5 plus or minus the square root of. The reason why we have plus or minus is because in quadratic equations, we always have two solutions. Sometimes one, if this is a perfect square. What do I mean when it's a perfect square? If it's like x squared plus 2x plus 1, we can actually just perfectly combine this into a x plus 1 square. in this case, there's only one solution, which is if this is equal to 0, it's just -1. Then anyway, go back to this. B squared minus 4a, this is 1x, remember? AC over 2. If you simplify this is going to be -4 or -1. Good, we solved this. Now, this is usually where I would end it. But there's actually one more method. It's actually by, taking the graph of this set y equals to this and see where the points of intersection with the x-axis would be. But no one does this during exams because you don't have access to a graphing calculator or decimals or anything like that, so no one does this. But I managed to make solving this equation a lot more difficult than it has to be. Let me show you guys how I did it. I was just doing random stuff and I did it. Okay, let me clean this board up. Okay, so we have this equation. What we're gonna do is, normally when we factorize this, let me actually write it up for you guys. When we factorize this into its factorized form, from here to go to this step where we can say that x equals to -4 or -1. The reason why we can say this is because, let's say we have two numbers, x and y. If they multiply together and we get 0, the only conclusion we can make is x equals to 0 or y equals to 0, because no two numbers can multiply together to give you 0 if they are not 0. So if this is like -1 and 5, they will multiply together to get -5. So negative numbers can't work in this case. So either x is 0 or y is 0, or both of them can also be 0. But it will be quite useless. So that is called the zero product rule. So if we apply the facts to this case, x plus 4, x plus 1. If this is equal to 0, this means x plus 4 equals to 0 or x plus 1 equals to 0. Now, they cannot be both equal to 0 because otherwise we will have -4 equals to -1, which obviously is not true. So, -4 on both sides, so we can cancel this out. We get x equals to -4. -1 on both sides here, cancel out the 1, and we get x is equal to -1. So this is how we get our solutions for x. But I'm gonna just abandon that rule for a second because I figured out something. Although no one in their right mind will do this during exam, but hey, it works. We're just doing like math for fun, so it doesn't matter. So what I'm gonna do instead, I'm going to move the 4, I'm gonna minus the 4 on both sides. Why? So this can cancel. So I will just get x squared plus 5x, this is a square, this is equal to -4. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to factor out the x from this side. So get x times x plus 5, and this is equal to -4. From here, this is where things get kind of interesting, and you will quickly see why this method is not worth doing. So I'm going to first write down the factors of -4. What are the factors of -4? Well, if we have 1, we have to multiply by -4. If we have 2, we have to multiply by -2. Simple, right? And if we have -1, we have to multiply by +4. Because if we multiply both negative, we'll just get back a positive number. So these are the factors of -4. So what we have to do now is we have to plug in every single one of these factors into this x. And then we have to see which ones, if this result, you get -4. The reason why is because, let's say we try 2. So I'm just going to write when x equals to 2, left hand side equals to, this is 2 times this, 2 plus 5, which is 7, which is equal to 14, which is obviously not equal to the right hand side, which means that we cannot use this, we cannot use x equals to 2. So x equals to 2 is not a solution. So if you try this out, you will realize that the ones that fit into this is -1 and -4. Don't believe me? Let's try. So let's try it out. So when x is equal to -1, left hand side again is going to be equal to, this is -1 times 1 plus 5, -1 plus 5, 4, which is equal to -4, which is equal to the right hand side. Cool. Let's try when x is -4. So when x is -4, the left hand side is equal to, this is -4 times -4 plus 5, 1, which is equal to -4. So if you want to do this method, make sure the factors of the right hand side, when you plug them into the x, it actually equals to the right hand side. So, and you might be thinking, how do I get my solutions from this? Because I did this and I still don't understand what is the solution. Well, the solutions are just the factors that work. So, hence, x is equal to -1 or x is equal to -4. And I solved it. So yes, this is my very great method of solving quadratic equations. Don't do this in exams, because I don't even think you'll get the mark, because Cambridge, no examination center would recognize this as a viable method, because there are so many easier methods out there. Even the quadratic formula is easier than this, because let's say you have like x squared plus like, that's even for, this only applies for like quadratic functions that are factorable. So if you encounter a quadratic equation that's not factorable, then you're cooked. But even if you do, it's way better to factorize or use completing the square or use quadratic formula. So yes, that is it for my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye bye.